John, what are your thoughts?
Oh my fucking god, I hate myself.
Was he not clipped in?
No.
For any of it?
No.
Schwallie.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Titties. I get to run it back. Drew, what are your thoughts?
Ballin' crazy with the HangTime.
Okay, Cam, I see you. Willing to go to New England, succeed to be the successor to Tom Brady? Oh my goodness, I like it.
So, we got some pretty big news today. Cam Newton signs with the Patriots. Drew, what are your thoughts? Woo! There go my ears. John?
I mean, good for the Patriots, but, like, that's kind of annoying. I wanted to see them be bad a little bit. Like, after seeing them be good for so long, I mean, come on, it'd be a little bit of a refreshing new look for the NFL.
Nah, dude, Cam Newton's going to play until he's 42. He's the next Tom Brady. We're going to have him for 11 years, another decade.
I mean, Drew, I'm excited for Cam Newton, but even I don't want to put up with this nonsense for the rest of this podcast. I can't believe how much you love this dude.
Yeah, this is kind of stupid. Drew, what has he done to have deserved this?
Absolutely nothing, John. But it's what he can do in the future, which is win us like 10 Super Bowls or something. Nice and easy.
Just easy 10.
Just an easy 10.
As a 30-year-old QB.
Just crank him out, 31.
Someone's cranking something out to Cam, and it's not Super Bowls. So, on the field, how do you think this impacts the Patriots? I mean, Cam Newton versus Jarrett Stidham. Drew, what do you think he can actually bring to the table?
I think the biggest thing that he brings is just like hope and kind of not all of the faith and the pressure of this whole entire organization being put on one kid. Because that was, like, Stidham was in a horrible spot for like just a random, what was he, like 4th, 5th round pick out of Auburn?
4th round pick.
Well, isn't that kind of what Tom Brady was?
I mean, yeah, but Tom
a guy
Brady,
who was a late round pick who was just thrust into this situation.
And how many Tom Bradys have there been?
The difference was that Tom Brady wasn't following another Tom Brady. It's infinitely harder to do what Stidham would have had to do than do what Brady had to do. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Brady. It's he is the greatest quarterback of all time. He might be the greatest individual athlete of all time. His first Super Bowl is, in my opinion, the best second-year Super Bowl we've ever seen because no one's won a first-year Super Bowl. Okay, so a lot is definitely put there, but at the same time, he was coming into a broken franchise with Drew Bledsoe. Not to a franchise that's been to 9 Super Bowls in 18 years.
Schwallie, would you consider Pat Mahomes' second-year Super Bowl better?
See, I thought about it, but it's his 3rd year because he sat the 1st year.
Yeah, but second year starting.
Schwallie counts.
Second year starting.
But it was Tom's 1st year starting.
Yeah.
It was Tom's first year starting. Yeah.
Second year in the league.
That's true. I guess that is true.
So I think on the field he brings a lot. I mean, when's the last time the Patriots had a mobile quarterback? Isn't that exciting, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen it in forever. I mean, it's going to be crazy just to watch week 1, assuming Cam is playing, just to see him, like a lineman come at the quarterback and the quarterback not just immediately, like, go into the fetal position and get ready to take the sack. He can actually move around. It'll create a lot more excitement. I mean, what we're going to lose, like, from Brady's passing and his mind and all that, I think we can make up for with the athleticism that Cam Newton can bring to the table as long as he's healthy, which is the biggest asterisk in the world, because of a not healthy Cam Newton will be cut before the regular season. But a healthy Cam Newton teamed up with Bill Belichick when he's pissed off and ready to go, like, see you later.
Drew, I think you hit on the biggest point there. It's all about health.
It's all about health.
But in terms of, like, his mobility in the pocket, it's an interesting point you raised because Tom Brady, while out of the pocket, he was not evading any blockers. He did all the little things in the pocket to avoid people and give himself room. And now this offensive line is going to have to block for a completely different style quarterback, too.
It'll be interesting to see if he's able to actually hit his receivers because, like, historically, he's even less accurate than Tom Brady has been throughout his career. And Tom Brady last year, with a very similar set of wide receivers, with if not the exact same, I mean, he struggled. They were dropping passes left and right. Julian Edelman led the league in dropped last year. I mean, what's going to happen if Cam Newton is throwing less than 60% passes, which is his career average, and to all these wide receivers, and they're just dropping it, so it's even worse than we thought. I mean, that's my main concern when it comes to Cam in the passing game.
John, I like your concern, and I'm going to raise another one. What if Cam Newton comes in and completes like 70% of his passes, and the wide receivers have a great year, regardless of how Brady does? As a Pats fan, I mean, Drew, John, as a fan of football even, like, does that change your opinion about his departure? Like, does that make you think maybe he wasn't putting in the effort with his wide receivers and he just hadn't cared? I mean, what if you have a breakout year from Jacoby Myers? Mohamed Sanu comes back and looks good. Edelman doesn't have a million drops. Their first round pick from 2 years ago pops off. What are you thinking then?
No, I'm not going to think any less of Brady or any less of the work ethic towards the end or anything. I just don't think that the weapons were there. I think if you see improvement this year, I don't think it. I mean, sure, it might be because of the quarterback change a little bit, but I don't think that would be the major factor. I think that when you looked at the games and at his weapons on the field, I mean, there was just nothing there.
Yeah, off of Drew's point, Schwallie, I think that it would be really hard for me to believe that Tom Brady just all of a sudden stopped trying.
Yeah.
He's had rinky-dinky wide receivers in the past that he's made great. I mean, just off of the top of my head, Chris Hogan. I mean, I think he was elevated a lot by Tom Brady because his career has not been...
He was in the Pro Bowl, I think. Yeah.
John, you're like completely right. You can name like example after example of wide receiver that Brady's been great. And I totally agree. But now all of a sudden you see Brady doing all these off-season camps with his wide receivers, which he wasn't doing the last couple of years in Foxborough. He will be reporting, I assume, to their mini camps, which he didn't do in Foxborough. And if that makes the difference, and you see Cam Newton do all those things, and he has a career year, and the Patriots wide receivers look good, I'd be a little more angry as a Patriots fan.
But Schwallie, you're not mentioning the fact that he's entirely learning a new offense. He's going to a new team. He is learning new wide receivers. He is learning a new system of control and a new culture.
Oh, I don't think this is going to happen. I just think if it did happen, it would make me... It'd be bittersweet as a Pats fan. Because you'd be like, oh, Cam Newton was great and they were good. But then you'd be like, well, if we still had Brady and he had been really going after it the last couple of years, like he's doing down in Tampa now, like, could we have gotten another Super Bowl or two? Drew, do you think it was a Bill Belichick signing, or do you think Josh McDaniels maybe had an important role in this?
Schwallie. Initially, I thought it was a Josh McDaniels signing because, like, when you look at the offense, there's just nothing there really for him. I mean, he's missing weapons at tight end. There's not many wide receivers that are like great on the team. There's not many weapons. There's a couple decent running backs. The quarterback is a huge question mark with Stidham. The line was kind of a question mark. They lost the offensive line coach, Scarnecchio, which is a huge loss, one of our biggest losses with Tom Brady. And I thought that it was Bill Belichick's like way of like letting Josh McDaniels kind of have a nice little trophy piece to really work the offense around. But as I've been looking at it more, I do think that it was more Bill Belichick, just because I feel like he's been coaching Tom Brady for 2 decades, and I think that he's ready to try opening up the playbook a little bit and being able to just be a little bit more creative. But also we're going to just be able to have a more fluid offense where the ball's moving around more and it's not just stationary in Tom Brady's hands. Because when Tom Brady gets a sack, it's pretty deflated usually.
Well, Tom Brady likes everything deflated. You know that.
Shut up.
Got him. Drew, I think, onto your point, it's a little bit of both, in my opinion. I don't think it's one or the other. I had the same initial thought process as you, where I thought McDaniels number one. For me, it was because in Denver he drafted Tebow in the first round. He likes a mobile quarterback. But then after seeing the numbers and the contract, I was like, oh, Bill had to play a role here, because a little more than $1 million guaranteed and 7 with incentives is the perfect contract. Because if he sucks, you pay him $1 million and you can cut him. And if he's great and you end up paying him $7 million, it was totally worth it.
I could see Josh McDaniels having been kind of on Belichick's back about this and trying to get Cam Newton to the Patriots for weeks or months even. And I could see Bill Belichick literally just sitting there waiting, like, not yet, Josh, not yet, Josh. Like, let's wait till it gets down to where I want it. And once he got it in that sweet spot, he was like, all right, pull the trigger. This is our guy.
It's like a little kid, and you're like going for a long drive. He's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
Bill Belichick is literally, He's the
dad. Drive.
Yeah.
John.
He's the dad of the NFL in the driver's seat.
He is the big daddy of the NFL driving.
We got Roger Goodell in the car seat in the back.
Maybe in the back row, like the third row, not in the back seat.
No. He doesn't get the leg room.
I know you've been high on the Browns in the past. Do you think the Browns will make the playoffs this year?
I don't. I think it's a close call, but I put it under 50-50. And I think the odds makers open them at like 45% chance probability. I think that's about right. Well, already.
Is that you? I'm sorry, did Max just say that? Dan Orlovsky, Laura?
Yeah.
It was that Max Kellerman. I just want to make sure my ears.
You just heard Stephen A. going at Max Kellerman, because last year, Kellerman liked the Browns in the Super Bowl. But this year, he doesn't think they're going to make the playoffs. So, Drew, you think the Browns are going to make the playoffs?
Dude, you can't just... This is Kellerman...
Go on.
Was wrong about Brady for so many years. He was wrong. The cliff. All of this talk, dude. And so I just think that nowadays he's like, screw it, dude. I can't stick by any dumb decisions. I have to change my position every single year. And so he's changing his position. Dude, the Browns are a very lethal team this year. Watch out. AFC contenders, Super Bowl contenders. Baker's going to have a year.
Heard the same thing last year.
I'm sorry, Drew. I have to fight you on this. We literally had this conversation yesterday where you were talking about how Max Kellerman is a good sports analyst, and here you are.
Oh, no, he is.
Ripping him.
No, he is.
No, you are. No. You
No.
I'm saying
No. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying...
Nah, he's trash.
No. I'm saying that he's completely going back on his take from last year, which is very comparable to the Tom Brady takes, because those were always his big takes, the cliff, and he always stuck by them. And now all of a sudden his big pick last year, the Browns winning the Super Bowl, this year he's not sticking by it. That's all I'm saying. I do like Max Kellerman, actually. I think he's a fantastic TV personality.
I mean, I just don't think the Browns are making the playoffs. I actually think they have a better chance than last year. Like last year, everyone was all like, Browns the Super Bowl, and I was like, alright, we need to chill. It was by far the most annoying thing of the offseason.
Yes.
Like, by far, was hearing every single person tell me that the Browns were going to make the Super Bowl.
I think I could not have seen more Baker Hulu ads in... Oh my... It was so terrible.
Alright,
okay.
I'm not angry about the commercial. I'm just simply saying that, like, they were the most talked about thing last year, and they clearly disappointed. And I think this year they're flying under the radar a little bit, and I think they could be good, and I think they could make the playoffs. I just, regardless of them making or missing the playoffs, I do not see them going anywhere in the playoffs because I don't like their coaching hire. It's like the most Brown things ever. Stefanski, you got the Vikings offensive coordinator. If they do make the playoffs, unless I'm proven otherwise continuously throughout the regular season by Stefanski, like, this dude has done nothing. And I don't like Kirk Cousins either, but the amount of talent on that offense to produce what he did is not good. Like, the Redskins had a better offense with Kirk Cousins. And what was around Kirk there?
They had a good offensive coordinator.
That's my point. And now you have not Kyle Shanahan becoming the head coach. So I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I just think, and he can't be as bad as Freddie Kitchens. I don't think that's possible. That dude was a train wreck. But I just don't know if I can predict the Browns to do anything great this year, because it's just like with any first-year coach, I feel like you never know. Drew?
No, I'm with you. I mean, I'll lay off a little bit. I'm not predicting anything absurdly great. I can see 10-6, 11-5 making the playoffs.
I think Tom Brady gets Tampa after a rocky September to 9-7. I do not think Carolina's in a rebuilding mode. I think Carolina's going to score a bunch of points with Teddy Bridgewater, who's a very good distributor, and I think they drafted all defense. I don't think they're in a total rebuild mode. I think Carolina's going to be okay.
So, continuing on with our NFC South predictions, we're going to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule. They open up in a great game, Week 1 at the New Orleans Saints. Drew?
That's a loss.
John?
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
0-1.
Week 2, home against the Panthers.
That's his first win in a Bucs uniform.
That's a win.
Win.
1-1.
Week 3, at the Denver Broncos.
That is a loss.
That's a loss.
It's a loss.
1-2.
Home against the Chargers.
That's a win.
That's a win.
It's a win.
2-2.
Week 5, at the Chicago Bears.
That is a loss.
That's a win.
That's a win.
3-2.
Week 6, home against the Green Bay Packers.
That is a win.
That's a win.
That's a dub.
4-2.
At the Las Vegas Raiders.
That is a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
5-2.
La la.
Week 8, at the New York Giants.
That is a win.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
Pathetic. 5-3.
Week 9, home against the Saints.
That is a win.
That is a win.
That's a win.
6-3.
John's upset. Week 10, at the Carolina Panthers.
That is a loss.
It's a win.
That's a win.
Brady hates playing against the Panthers, but 7-3.
He hates Ron Rivera's defense. Week 11, home against the Rams.
That is a win.
Loss.
That's a win. I can't believe you didn't know.
8-3.
Week 12, home against the Chiefs.
That is a win.
Loss, but a shootout.
Loss.
One of the best games of the year right there. 8-4.
Coming out of the bye, week 14, home against the Vikings.
That is a win.
That's a win.
It's a win. Great bye. Tough schedule.
9-4.
Week 15, at the Atlanta Falcons.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
That's a loss. I like it.
9-5.
At the Detroit Lions.
That's a sneaky loss.
It's a win.
That's a win, but Patricia's going to put up a fight.
10-5.
Finishing up the season, week 17, home against the Falcons.
That is a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Final record, 11-5.
Moving on to the Panthers schedule, they open up week 1, home against the Raiders. Drew?
That's a win.
John?
That's a win.
That's a win.
1-0.
Week 2, at the Tampa Bay Bucks.
That is a loss.
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 1-1.
Week 3, at the Los Angeles Chargers.
That is a loss.
That's a loss.
I like them winning that.
1-2.
Home against the Cardinals.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
1-3.
Week 5, at the Atlanta Falcons.
That is a loss.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
1-4.
Week 6, home against the Bears.
That's another loss.
It's a win.
I'm going to give them a win.
2-4.
Week 7, at the New Orleans Saints.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
2-5.
Home against the Falcons.
That is a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
3-5.
Week 9, at the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's a loss.
Loss.
No shot.
3-6.
Home against the Bucks.
That's a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
4-6.
Week 11, home against the Detroit Lions.
That is a loss.
It's a win.
That's a win.
5-6.
Week 12, at the Minnesota Vikings.
That's a win.
Loss.
Loss.
5-7.
Coming out of the bye, week 14, home against the Broncos.
Hold on. You guys aren't having Teddy B winning in his return to Minnesota?
Coming out of the bye, week 14, home against the Broncos.
That is a loss.
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
5-8.
Week 15, at the Green Bay Packers.
That is a loss.
It's a loss.
Loss, but a good game.
Yeah, good game. 5-9.
Home against the Redskins.
That is a win.
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 6-9.
6-9. Week 17, wrapping up the season, home against the Saints.
That is a loss.
It's a loss.
That's a loss.
Final record 6-10.
Seems about right. Today we welcome Parker Swensrud to the HangTime Headlines podcast. Parker is a close friend of John and a former member of the Denver University rugby team.
Yeah, so Parker has been my best friend since pretty much I was born, and he's always been my best buddy. So Parker, why don't you tell me when you knew you wanted to play rugby in college?
I started playing rugby late. I never really knew what rugby was until I was 10 years old, and I lived in New Zealand for half a year. And not being around American sports for a while can kind of, change the way you look at things. So after I went to my first rugby game in Auckland, New Zealand, and saw the All Blacks play, saw the haka, I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. This is what I want to do. So then I got back home, started playing all these contact sports, football, wrestling, whatever. Didn't really stand out. Was kind of a little small football. The way that high school football works is unless you're either 6'2", 250, or 5'10", and really, really strong and fast, you're just not going to play or get seen by college coaches. So one of my good buddies, Aiden Howe, who John knows actually, told me to come play rugby with him sophomore year of high school. And that just from then, I never looked back. I started playing after my first game. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
So what was your recruiting process like getting there?
So rugby recruitment is kind of different than every other sport, college sports, because rugby really isn't that big in the U.S. yet. Rugby, as a whole, as a sport, isn't part of the NCAA, so you can't just recruit and hand out scholarships or just so they get the kids into school like you can for football or whatever other big sports there are. So I actually had to, my recruitment process was I had to send out my highlight tape to a bunch of different coaches. I had to reach out personally to a bunch of different schools and coaches that I was considering looking at. And then once they knew that I was interested, they started, I'd have to go on phone conversations, and I went on official visits to different schools, stayed at the rugby teams and hung out with them. And it was an interesting process because I saw I went to a bunch of different schools and saw a lot of teams that I thought I wouldn't fit in well with, and just guys that I didn't really want to associate myself with. And then I went to Denver, and once again, I just never looked back. The rugby program there, just everything. The rugby in Colorado was a big deal.
So moving on, what's the biggest hit you've ever given or received, Parker?
Yeah, man, I've taken some big hits, I've given some big hits. I feel like most of the time I'll give big hits, the way I know they're big is I'll knock the wind out of myself after I tackle the guy. And that's, I always kind of look, once you hit someone, you go into the tackle thinking it'd be the absolute coolest, most badass, just dude. I'm gonna wreck this guy, and then you tackle him, his knee goes right to your sternum, you lose all the air, and he was rolling around the field, can't breathe, The hardest hit I probably made was freshman year in college. We went to a tournament in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to play with play a round robin tournament to decide seedings for the Pac West tournament that my rugby team was going to be participating in. And we were playing this one team that I remember they weren't that great. They had a lot of speed and athleticism, but no teamwork, no connections. They were just it was all individuals. They did not do anything as a team. And so there's one really cocky kid that got the ball on the sideline and thought he could take it all the way. And I don't know how he didn't see me, but I totally came in and blindsided him. His legs, his legs did a cartwheel in a way. His legs went up where his hands were.
Upside down.
Flew off. In rugby, you're supposed to wrap up when you tackle. You're not allowed to throw the shoulder in football. But I played football my whole life, so I kind of forgot to do that.
Threw the shoulder.
I laid this guy on my shoulder. He flew. I got a penalty.
Rather ask for forgiveness.
I got put in the box, but it was really cool in the highlight tape.
So, have you ever had any bad concussions?
Too many. I don't remember how many concussions I've had, because I've had too many, sadly.
Can you talk
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of a catch-21.
CTE is a myth, so
CT's a myth, though.
Oh, he likes Drew. Drew and him get along real well.
I mean, I'm flip-flopped. I think concussions are a myth and CTE is real.
Yeah, no, I had one.
But I'd be down to debate you on that sometime. Could you tell us about some of the injuries you've sustained, which ultimately caused you to stop playing rugby?
Oh, jeez. Touchy subject, but yeah. So, I always went into, like, when I finally knew I was going to play college rugby, I was so excited. Like, I always wanted to play college sports my whole life. I always thought it was going to be football, but rugby, once I figured out rugby was a lot better. And my older brother also played college rugby, and he had a really successful career. So I was always kind of he kind of motivated me to be better, to work harder, to always just like strive to be better. So because of that, I always had kind of nagging injuries, especially in my shoulder. I never really wanted to get them checked out. I never wanted to be classified as like injured or hurt. And finally, so I injured my shoulder in high school. I get through that, go on some big boy, just some much bigger guy than me, tackled me, sandwiched me between the ground, like my shoulder just drove into the ground. He like drove on top, just located it. I finally got checked out earlier this year, and it turns out I tore my interior and exterior labrum, and my bicep were connected to the shoulder. It was like an absolutely awful shoulder injury. Totally ended my career.
So compare you and your brother Spencer, as players. So who is better in their prime?
Oh damn, man! I hate to say Spencer's better, but he has a few rings to show it. I always thought that I was faster than Spencer. I always thought that I was more naturally gifted, but Spencer is one of the hardest working guys in all aspects of his life that I've ever met. Like, he's just, when he puts his mind to something, he's gonna do it. So when it came to athletics, he actually went to play football, but then switched and ended up playing rugby instead. And from freshman year, he started all 4 years. He's an athlete. He was definitely the better player. I think I was more naturally gifted.
Of course, you heard the news yesterday. Cam Newton headed to the Patriots.
Oh my God!
What are your thoughts? We want to hear. We want to hear from you.
You guys ready for this? I've been like talking to air about this for months. Someone discusses about. So, Tom Brady has given me 20 years of pure joy. I was obviously devastated when he left, but I couldn't help but be like happy for him. He did everything I could have asked and more for the Patriots fan base and team. So when he left, I was very sad, but obviously it was time. All the good things got to come to an end. And then there was the huge question about who fills his footsteps. Jarrett Stidham? Who the hell is that? Like,
dude, come on.
Dude.
I like Stidham.
Stardom or Stidham? Like Stidham, really? Like, that's going to be my fantasy football team name next year.
Do you think it was more Bill's idea or Josh McDaniels?
Oh, it was Bill's. Bill has been wanting a mobile quarterback for so long. That was probably one of the reasons he and Tom finally split up, was because he let Tom stay for the last couple of years because Tom had good arm strength, was making good decisions still. But Bill has a hard-on for mobile quarterback.
Because mobile quarterbacks have always been like his kryptonite too. And I feel like he would be so good at using a mobile quarterback because he gets beat by them all the time. Like
Belichick's brain mixed with Cam Newton's size and speed.
And Cam Newton also is coming into New England just like absolutely pissed off with a whole stack of chips on his shoulder.
Facts.
I think he's more than ready to prove himself.
I cannot wait for the season, dude. And we also, for what, $1 million guaranteed? Why not?
Thank you so much, Parker, for joining us.
Yeah, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Ballin' crazy with the hang time.